Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Diego Castro. China has downplayed yet again the 2016 Hague ruling on the South China Sea, calling it illegal, null and void. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin claims the arbitration case brought up by the Philippines was, quote, pure political drama orchestrated by the U.S. Wenbin adds the U.S. is invoking its mutual defense treaty with the Philippines to intimidate China. But he notes that it will not stop Beijing from safeguarding its lawful rights and interests. This statement comes as more nations call out China for aiming a military-grade laser at a Philippine vessel earlier this month. Canadian Ambassador to the Philippines David Hartman said that China's recent action disputed lawful operations of Philippine vessels. Hartman says the Philippines has Canada's firm and unwavering support in the face of China's actions, which it described as coercive. Ambassadors from Germany and Australia have also expressed serious concerns over the laser incident, calling on China to refrain from increasing tensions in the disputed waters and to respect international laws. The U.S. has also earlier backed the Philippines in the laser issue, noting that China's behavior threatens regional peace and stability. The Japanese embassy in Manila, meanwhile, slammed China's, quote, dangerous behavior against Philippine vessels. The Philippines has said earlier that it is eyeing a tripartite security pact with Japan and the U.S. amid tensions in the West Philippine Sea. For his part, President Bongbong Marcos summoned Chinese Ambassador Wang Xilian over the laser pointing incident. Chinese envoy to the Philippines Wang Xilian said the meeting focused on strengthening communications and managing maritime differences between the two nations. For retired Justice Antonio Carpio, Marcos is so far doing the right thing in response to the incident, though he notes that joint patrols in the West Philippine Sea are necessary.
Normally, the Foreign Secretary will summon the ambassador, but if it is a grave matter, it can be the President himself, the Chief of State, that will summon. And I think that was the correct thing to do because this is a grave matter. The use of a weapon against our Coast Guard vessel is a serious matter.
The Bangko Sentral admits that the passage of the Maharlika Investment Fund will delay its capitalization goal. BSP Deputy Governor Francisco Daquila said it would take more time for the bank to reach its target of 200 billion pesos. This is because the BSP would be required to remit 100% of its dividends for 2 years once the MIF is passed. Francisco noted, though, that the central bank will be able to tolerate the delay as its balance sheet has improved. Still, several groups continue expressing their opposition to the current version of the controversial measure. Mayan Los Baños with the report.
The Foundation for Economic Freedom is pushing for the Marcos administration to reconsider using state-run financial institutions as sources of funding for the Maharlika Investment Fund to arrest a possible fallout. The FEF explained that the investment from the Development Bank of the Philippines and the Land Bank of the Philippines will be so huge that once the MIF value goes down, it will not only affect the two government banks but the banking system itself.
Maaaring mag-spread po yan, contagion to the rest of the banking system. Lalo na po ito the banking system and therefore they are subjected to all sorts of financial crisis and financial panic.
As it is, the current version of the Sovereign Wealth Fund states that the LBP would be contributing 50 billion pesos as initial capital for the Maharlika, while the DBP would inject 25 billion pesos. The Economic Advocacy Group also expressed worries on tilting the playing field once the MIF is passed with provision that it will be exempted from taxes. According to them, this will give an unfair advantage that may discourage investors.
An uneven playing field will dampen rather to improve the investment climate. So instead of marami pong investments ang papasok, mas maaring ma-deter po yung mga legitimate investors sa pag nakikita nila na hindi po level yung playing field.
Senate Committee on Banks, Financial Institutions, and Currencies Chairman Senator Mark Villar explained that the MIF is tax-free since the money will go directly to social civic projects. The Land Bank Administration likewise ensured that they have enough investable funds, which stands at 1.3 trillion pesos. But these figures did not sit well with Senator Win Gatchalian.
So I'm actually not impressed to hear, that there is 1.5 trillion lying around, not being lent to our agriculture sector. Modernizing needs a lot of capital. How come there's 1.3 trillion lying around and not being plowed into the agriculture sector?
Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel, on the other hand, wishes that the bill would be polished before it reaches Senate hearings.
I hope this is not rushed. Whatever you can cure, please cure. What is the real reason why we are entertaining this proposal? Where would the funds come from? What will be the role of this corporation? Yung mga safeguards.
The Committee on Banks is set to continue its hearing on the Maharlika Fund in the weeks to come. Reporting for News 5, Mean Los Baños, we are One News.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. The remains of one of the Filipino victims in the Turquía earthquake have been brought home. Wilma Tescan's remains arrived on Wednesday and were taken to her home in Quezon. She was an overseas worker for 11 years in Turquía, where she also married her husband. Tescan is one of the two Filipinos killed in the magnitude 7.8 tremor. The Philippine contingent deployed to Turkey, meanwhile, continues on its rescue operations. So far, they were able to provide medical assistance to over 160 earthquake victims. While consumers are concerned over high prices of commodities, farmers are worried that the surge in imports ordered to stave off high prices will end up weakening their ability to plant more crops. Gerard De La Peña with the story.
Despite the importation of agri-products such as sugar and rice, the prices of these commodities have yet to go down. Speaking with the chiefs, SINAG President Rosendo Sol lamented that prices have remained the same despite the government's push for more importation.
Yung sugar, dumating yung imported, sabi ng SRA, pag dumating yung imported, sabi din ng presidente, pag dumating yung imported, bababa ng 70, in which hindi rin nangyari. No?
Data from the Agriculture Department's price monitoring as of February 15 showed the price of refined sugar in Metro Manila markets ranging from 87 pesos to 110 pesos per kilo. Meanwhile, rice prices with local premium rice and regular milled rice are selling for 42 to 49 pesos and 32 to 40 pesos per kilogram respectively. Recently, the SRA board unanimously approved the plan to bring in 440,000 metric tons of refined sugar to stabilize retail prices and shore up the country's buffer stock. They expect sugar prices to go down to the 85 pesos per kilogram level once the first batch of refined sugar arrives in the country in April. Farmer groups, however, were expecting that given the numerous importation orders, it would have been enough to bring down the prices. But that hasn't been the case. This has left both consumers and producers at a disadvantage.
Kung makita mo kasi yung import ng bigas, lumaki. import ng karne ng baboy, karne ng manok. Ito is lahat lumaki yung import natin, no? Hindi ito nakatulong dun sa pag-produce natin.
So added that as a result of the influx of imported products, fewer farmers are now planting due to lack of income.
Ang tingin natin is yung mga magsasaka nag-less area na planted area kasi lumaki yung import. In spite of that, hindi bumaba yung presyo.
Despite this, So is hoping that farmers would be enticed to plant rice once more as the country's situation gradually improves.
We hope na itong this coming cropping, medyo mainganyo sanang magsasaka na bumalik, no? Kasi yung presyo ng palay medyo maganda naman ngayon, and we hope na magtatanim sila.
For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, we are One News.
Here are other headlines we're keeping our eyes on. Two ranking officials of the Philippine Army are facing charges for violation of 2 articles of war over the killing of Davao-based businesswoman Yvonne Chua. Those facing charges are Brigadier General Jesus Durante III and Colonel Michael Liquiayo, who have been relieved as Commander and Deputy Commander of the 101st Infantry Brigade. Philippine Army charged the 2 suspects for violation of Articles of War 96, or conduct unbecoming of an officer and a gentleman, and 97, or conduct prejudicial to good order and military discipline. The Philippines has detected its first confirmed case of Omicron subvariant XBF, which is linked to an increase in infections in Australia and Sweden. But according to the Health Department, studies do not suggest any differences in disease severity or clinical manifestations compared to the original Omicron variant. The BAI assures that it has resolved bird flu outbreaks in 6 poultry farms around the country. It notes that the country's egg and chicken supply is not affected by the recent outbreak. And that's it for this hour. Join us again at 7:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register an account now at signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.